So, Bigpod, I've had a problem the past couple weeks.
Really, what?
I've been experimenting with this wonderful, great, and glorious distro that has absolutely no flaws whatsoever and is totally unbreakable. It's this thing called NixOS.
Oh god.
Yeah. Uh, I broke NixOS several times. I even filed bug reports. One of them said that they won't be fixed because it's intentional. Yeah. And then I decided I was going to try to play some video games, and I found out that the one video game that I care about playing right now, Baldur's Gate, doesn't work. Like, why is that not working? I can't figure it out. Okay, let's try something else. Oh, that's not working. Oh, Bigpod tells me I need to use this random tool off the internet to do things necessary for the show. That also doesn't work. Okay. So, I have decided I'm going to step away from NixOS because, it turns out that it's not nearly as great as people say it is.
Who
And
could have guessed?
yeah, I know, right? And thus, I have entered the void with Void Linux.
Cue the music.
Hey guys, welcome to Talks Aloud. I am your host Josh, and today I'm wearing my usual white T-shirt with the proper rip in the appropriate right shoulder because for some reason they all just rip there first. Thanks, Haynes. And I have my co-host today with me, Big Pod. So
Hello.
that way, I'm not making 7 recordings and figuring out how to stitch them all together and do some glorious cutting to make it look like it was all done in one cut, when in fact it was not. It's been a while since I did any kind of like editing. So, Big Pod,
Yeah. What?
uh, you went on a road trip.
Yeah.
It was a glorious road trip.
Yeah.
They made a press release about it,
They
and
did,
that's
yes.
all we can tell you about it.
Exactly.
I mean, we can tell you very trace amounts more, but that's basically what it was.
Yes.
These guys went on a road trip. It happened. But hey, did you know that there's something else that's going on today as we record?
No. What?
So there's an event in Berlin going on right now that you can probably drive to, Big Pod, if you really want to partake. This event is called Pond to Own, and it's a penetration testing competition.
Huh.
Uh, this is an annual thing, and there are cash prizes and everything. And guess what the very first 3 things that got compromised were?
Let me guess. Windows.
It's not all Windows, but yes, Windows was the very first thing. So, let's talk about this here. So, Pond to Own, on the very first day, the big three, the very first three things that were compromised was Windows 11, Red Hat Linux, and Oracle's VirtualBox. Now, uh, the Windows exploit was a chain combining a use after free and integer overflow escalation privilege to system on a Windows 11 system.
Okay.
And it was immediately compromised 2 more times to gain system privileges by another individual who exploited an out of bound write vulnerability, which was then verified by another guy who then proceeded to demo a Confusion 0 day. So, turns out that Windows still has problems. All right.
Of course.
Now, Red Hat Linux. This is Red Hat Linux for the server, not the workstation. The desktop OS. Uh, they had uh, a use after free information leak, which led to root access, and eventually a bug collusion. And then on Red Hat Enterprise for Workstation, It fell into a local privilege escalation, uh,
It was the
with
first
an
one to
integer
fall
overflow.
in the category of local privilege escalations with an
Yep.
integer overflow vulnerability. Nice.
Yeah. Now, lighted. This event, everything that they run into, it's not really like a public event. Like there's no crowds here or anything because
Yeah.
what they run into is being reported upstream to the project. So, uh, just letting you know this now. So we don't really have details on what they actually did. We just know that they did it. Oh, all right. And then of course Oracle VirtualBox. Everybody loves VirtualBox. In fact, there's reasons why you probably shouldn't use VirtualBox, but hey, you know what? People use it anyway. People have managed to escape the VM sandbait, uh,
Oh god.
sandbox and execute code on the host operating system.
Oh god.
Hey, yep. And then
There was also
NVIDIA.
there was also escape from a Docker desktop. So Docker. Oh great.
Yep, Docker desktop, not Docker itself. Docker
Another
desktop.
another use after free 0 day. So those are always
Yep.
fun. Please use Rust. And I know people will hate me to say that, but please use Rust. Rust fixes that.
Yeah. Now, of course, it's not all just like this wonderful software. They have a couple Teslas there too. They have a 2024 Tesla Model 3 and a 2025 Tesla Model Y. Uh, no attempts have been registered on those vehicles, so people they parked them in the event center and people have just kind of left them alone.
Yeah.
But there's more going on tomorrow. I think this is actually going on for like a whole week, if I remember right. So it's definitely something that's worth interesting because by the time that this episode releases, more stuff has probably come out of this. So if you're like a system administrator, probably watch this.
Yeah, what comes out of it. And apparently on day 2 they will be attacking things like VMware ESXi, Mozilla Firefox, and some more Red Hat Linux for workstations.
Yep. So hey, it, if you're a big and honestly like if you're a big fan of like cybersecurity, like watching the news in general, this is where like your news articles start is like events like this, and then you find the associated bug reports, and then you see all the work that they go through to get it fixed, and then you see like how it got patched into like this update cycle that completely bricked somebody's system, and eventually hits the news like 4 months later.
So, according to the article, the manufacturers of the software, so developers like Red Hat, have 90 days to to release security fixes before things get publicly disclosed.
Yep, which that's pretty standard in the
Yeah,
industry. So hey, that's great, and there's a total prize pool of $1 million here, so people can make some money off of this if they really want to.
yeah.
Now, uh, there. Let's talk about some like actual exciting news here, Big Pod. Actual exciting news because I randomly read this during the pre-show, which I totally forgot to record, and then we just nerded out about this for like 15 minutes because researchers have achieved 1 terabit secure data transmission over 1,200 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's the name of the article. TechSpot. You normally hit it pretty hard on the nose there, so thank you. Uh, and of course, this was done by Chinese researchers. And yes, they actually used a 1,200 kilometer optical fiber cable.
But
And
what's actually very significant, the actual light signal was encrypted, not the data, but the light signal itself.
yeah, so this was basically the fiber optic variant of hardware enabled encryption.
Yes.
So there's no tax on like the CPU because you have to do like the software encryption or anything like that, which that's just cool. Now, uh, they did this and verified that it works across all 26 channels on a 3.9 terahertz C band,
Specifically,
which
there
means
is
that
26 channels. Yeah, it's not. I think. I think it has. I think 3.6 terahertz C band can have more channels, but they use 26, which is like, okay, you can go.
yeah,
Believe max number is like 192.
somewhere around there, like
Yeah, but you know, you
which
cannot go max because it just doesn't make sense for test because then you get a lot of more noise in the test equipment and stuff like that.
yeah, but that that just tells you that they can do this with some amount of capacity as well too,
Yeah,
because they're not even using half the cable to do this,
yeah.
which that's pretty cool. And so, if you're the viewer, why does this matter, Big Pod?
This matters because not because you would get that kind of cable or you would set it up for yourself, but because your ISP will be able to get much better, much more secure data across the trunk or the main backbone for, let's say, from your city to your nearby exchange and stuff like that. And we're talking terabits and multiple terabits if we populate all channels. So that would be actually like service villages and small towns without a problem. And why is that great? Because one of the problems of fiber is light leakage. You just need to bend the cable slightly and you get all the data because even 1% of the light has 100% of the data. So it's really easy to use something called micro clamping to spy on what is essentially clear text data or lightly encrypted data with
Which
things like
is a thing that you can do with
destinations and stuff like that would easily be detected. And like problem is that this kind of spying using micro clamping is almost impossible to detect.
well, of course, because you've got this big long cable that's transversing miles or kilometers. It's going between cities and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so you're running the risk of random guy out there in the boonies drives up to your phone, drives up, climbs up the phone pole and just clamp on a wire,
Yeah,
grabs all
it's
the data.
literally it's I believe it's like this kind of a box, just trip, and that's it.
Yep. Which that is a thing you can do with electronic cables to an extent too.
Yeah,
Uh, the
but
the, the big difference is that it gets is that there's less raw data that you can actually see over like the electrical signal compared to like a fiber optic signal.
what I said, like literally you all you have to do is do this micro clamping thing, and what it happens, you get 100% of the data, because even 1% of the light has 100% of the data. Unlike with any kind of on the copper line, any kind of electronic wiretapping will need for you to either to get 100% will need for you to actually disconnect the line because you need to put something in between, whereas any kind of tab that goes just around it only gets certain amount of data, and its data is somewhat noisy based on what I heard or read and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Now, of course, this is going to be like it's increasing because AI is a thing that all these companies are really pushing right now. So that is the big money maker, and people are asking AI sometimes some very sensitive questions. And it's nice to have like that hardware level encryption because, for one thing, that's less tax on like your systems, right? Your CPU now has to do less stuff. They can just offload that all to hardware,
Yeah,
and that's where the big game changer is because at a certain scale, uh, just processing the data transmissions, if you have to just adding encryption into that, like I believe it was. I read somewhere that like even just an HTTPS certificate on a static website adds like triple the amount of CPU calculations that would have to be performed. I heard that
Yeah,
statistic like one time many years ago. I don't know how accurate it is, but uh, it's just one of those things where it's just like we've got cloud platforms that are getting more and more expansive as they go, uh, and that we've got the demand for data centers in general. That's never probably going to go down at this rate.
yeah,
And then you've got like cellular networks that are growing more and more critical to like day to day life. Uh, at least here in the developed nations, and even starting to appear in as like the network of choice for like these smaller nations or nations that haven't had access to this technology before.
yeah.
So uh, that that's just getting critical. Now, of course, am I going to get this kind of technology at home? It's not necessary
Yeah.
because heaven forbid, I all my stuff is in a server room. My average network cable length is like less than 3 feet, like this long. If you're looking at the video, is like the longest cable I can think of that's in my server rack right now.
Yeah, but things
It's
like
not.
company level dark fiber, things like dark fiber for internal networks for data centers, like AZs and stuff like that for your cloud providers, and as I said, things like backbones for your exchange to endline users, like endline exchange. That's what you're gonna have. Like in somewhere in the town near you, you have a bunch of bunch of switches that then switch the traffic to your houses. Uh, Up to that switch, this kind of fiber connection will go.
Yep. And sometimes it goes from that switch to your house too. Sometimes
Maybe.
it doesn't. It just depends on how much money your ISP has and how much they care to actually upgrade the network.
Yeah.
Mine certainly does. So now, of course, Bigpod. We have joked about being a security podcast. Obviously, because of our recording schedule, we can't do like security breaking news or anything like that. But Valve has announced that there's been a breach for Steam accounts.
Yeah.
So, uh, obviously, I play games on my computer. Big Pod plays games on his computer. We both probably buy games through Steam. In fact, I think something like 80% of all computer sales go through Steam. So, uh, it's entirely possible. But what what the data that was leaked was just the phone numbers that were necessary.
Yeah.
Now, why phone phone numbers are important here is because Valve is a U.S. company,
Hmm.
and here in America, under federal guidelines, if there's an electronic transmission, there has to be a phone number associated with it. That's the only reason why Valve has your phone number, or why they ask for your phone number to begin with. But in this case, they also were leveraging that phone number for like SMS level 2FA. So your two-factor authentication. You go to log into Steam, they say, "Hey, type in this code we just sent your phone number." That's all that
Yeah.
was. So, and that's only valid for 15 minutes.
Uh, Based on how I read things, so don't take it 100% because I could be wrong, but it seems like only things that were leaked were if you actually ever received an 2FA through your SMS.
Yeah. So, you don't really need to change your password,
Yeah.
even though you should probably be rotating passwords on a fairly consistent basis for like these financial platforms at the very least.
Yeah, do it every so often, but don't do it too much because otherwise you
Yeah.
get fatigued, which is a huge problem, and then you start using password systems like this is my password one, and in 3 weeks when you replace the password, this is my password two.
Yeah.
We've seen that in corporate networks where you had to replace passwords every 45 days or some insane timelines like that.
Yeah, I one time had to do like a. I one time worked for a company that for I had a job that mandated that I use a computer. I was not allowed to use a password manager. They actually just straight up said you're not allowed, and I had to change my password every single week. They're
Oh
like, no,
wow.
no.
Holy crap. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I remember somebody saying that for most people in corporate networks, all you need to do is get their last password and you can figure out how long they've been in the company because
yep.
you know they will have the system just go just just
One,
either
two,
count the
three,
number or
four.
maybe go and do some sort of math to get it. But yeah, it's like that is simple because most of them have a system.
Yeah. So, you're fine. Rotate your password if you care. Honestly, if you're using SMS two factor authentication, do better because Steam offers
Disable
better.
it, please. Disable it, please.
Just
Please,
do
please
better.
disable SMS authentication.
But props for at least trying to care. Uh, and of course, Bigpod. I know that last week we talked about you switching away from Proxmox.
Yeah. Well, last week I
Uh,
was on. Let's be clear because last week it was you alone.
yeah, yeah. Last week you were on. Now, of course, you have installed the XCPNG. I have not. My
Yeah.
server still runs Debian, just booting all my virtual machines over KVM because it just works until like Debian breaks hardware pass through in a kernel update that they already fixed. But anyways, I heard you have some thoughts.
Yes. So, so first of all, it works fine. if I if I have to say like it works fine. We're recording from a VM that is running on one of those servers that is running XCPNG. No lag, nothing. I've been playing games all the time. In some ways, it's actually running better than Proxmox has. But on the flip side, it also has some painful things that I really don't like. To start with, no nested virtualization. That is a huge
Well,
pain
yeah.
because I
So,
tend to experiment things, and some of the things that I experiment with, like I will need nested virtualization because I want to experiment with maybe something like overt or I don't know, uh, set up a testing thing for XCPNG or for something else, and many things require virtualization because I may want to test a virtualization server or a virtualization software. No nested virtualization means I cannot do that, which is a giant pain in the ass. Then number two, I cannot create overlay networks, things like VXLAN and stuff like that. There is a feature for that if you build Zen Orchestra from source, which isn't a problem for me. It's a really basic Node.js program, a single command, and you get it running, and all it was write a basic service file for systemd. Ooh, a problem. But the problem lies in that when I try to create it, that the over network, so private network that is running on top of my physical LAN, I cannot do it because it fails. The communication doesn't work. So it's a giant pain in
oh,
the ass. Locally on the same machine it works, but not across multiple machines, which is what
well,
I need.
that's a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, that's something that worked great in Proxmox, and I miss dearly. And I'm thinking of ways how to fix it because I want my overlay networks. Because why the hell would I waste 15 IPs on my IPv4 network that is LAN, when I can put the things that I don't need on that on that primary network onto an internal network or one-off internal networks, which is what I've been doing back when I used Proxmox. I had three internal networks, three overlays. Each of them had like IP 10.0. something, whereas my main network has like completely different IP scheme. And now that is bothering me really, really, really much, and I'm still thinking of how to fix it. I'm kind of thinking of learning Open vSwitch, and then because it's a pain in the ass to set it up any other way, I'm gonna try and just add the interfaces and the Open vSwitch stuff into the VMs themselves, which is a giant pain in the ass because I cannot do it on the host, which would make it a lot easier because Zen Orchestra doesn't want to accept those bridges for some reason as part of the interface. Great. And I also talked with the people behind XCP-ng and Zen Orchestra, and they won't fix the issue I've been running into because they are reworking things and they don't have enough bandwidth to fix it. So
Yeah,
I'm
maybe in the
stuck.
future.
One day in the future I might have it back through the simple. But by that point the system might actually crash, and at that point I might choose something else or go back to Proxmox anyway. So maybe we're gonna see me running Overt, which is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah. Now, I've never messed with over, or I have done very basic looks at XCP-ng because I be curious sometimes. But I've always just used KVM on like your standard run of the mill Linux distribution.
Yeah,
That's just what I've always used. It's always worked for me. Believe it or not, yes, I can stick with a tool. I
yeah.
swear.
Well, the reason
Just
I don't go that way is I
cave.
really don't want to bother with managing things in command line and or over a desktop program. Give me a web UI that's actually good, unlike Cockpit. That's why I use
Yeah,
Proxmox.
which I can understand that to an extent because cockpit is great for you just like spinning up like quick test VMs and stuff like that. But if you're like doing like actual work, you're probably not using the cockpit interface to spin up a virtual machine.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe just for like the initial creation, but at some point you're going to be going in and messing around with the XML files. That's just going to be a thing that happens. Now, of course, Vert Manager is a desktop application that you can connect, and yes, you can connect to remote servers through
yeah.
Vert Manager. That's actually how I typically use it. But it's a bit of a dated interface compared to like compared to a lot of the turnkey solutions.
Quite a
Uh,
bit.
but it does expose like all the buttons that you probably care about. It probably covers at least like 99% of the functions you would use. Now, I can say that much. Now, uh, I believe I have tried Overt before. I can't remember what I was using it on, but it was like way back in the day, and like it probably in probably on like back when I was still an Ubuntu fanboy. So
I
a
highly
while
doubt
ago.
Overt is has been always tied to CentOS Fedora, CentOS Red Hat world.
Yeah,
It's the open source version of, I believe, Red Hat virtualization system or something like that, of Red Hat virtualization.
which you know what? If they want to keep trying to push that, that's cool.
No,
Because
I think now it's called Red Hat OpenShift virtualization. I don't know. They changed the names a couple of times now.
they changed the names a couple of times. It could even just OpenShift could just be an entirely different product.
Yeah.
Which one of these days I'll probably be. I
No.
hear some things about
Yeah.
OpenShift.
It's OpenShift is essentially a Kubernetes, but it's also kinda Like they have been doing some consolidation of products and all that. So maybe it's not that's one thing now. OpenShift virtualization engine. Who knows?
Yeah. Now, of course, I personally don't really know what all OpenShift actually does. So one of these days, I'll probably be messing around with OpenShift. When I get around to it.
Well,
But
personally, I would say use Kubernetes instead of OpenShift.
well, okay. I guess that's worth a thought. So, uh, anyways, Big Pod. I think it is time that we start wrapping up this episode because we've already got like 33 minutes of recording, and I'm out of notes of stuff to talk about. So, hey, you guys see this going across the bottom of the screen right now? It probably flashes colors when editor gets around to actually doing that sometimes. But this is our email address. It is contact@tuxspace.com. It does work. We receive emails typically from scammers, so I know that we can receive emails with it.
Yeah.
I still get I'm still talking with like that SEO optimization guy.
Still talking with
He
him.
is Yeah. He is no longer he's not talking to us on like our general contact email of contact@tuxspace.com. Instead, he's talking to me direct. He's
Ooh.
responding to my emails directly now. He has yet to actually pass my trial of going to my personal website, reading, uh, and telling me what word is at this specific point on the page. He has not done that yet. So, until he does that, I'm not going to take him seriously.
Lol.
Just letting you guys know that on the public airwaves right now because he says that he listens to the podcast. So, and of course, if you want to talk with us directly, we have these links right here. These are our Fediverse IDs. Because these are just the social media services we use that are not YouTube. You could just plug this into like your Mastodons, your Threads. Uh, I hear things about Blue Sky. I hear things. I don't know. Maybe we should make a Blue Sky account. That way we just have it for the future.
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably in the good idea category of things to do. So, and of course, if you really enjoy the show and you hear the things that we've talked about in the past, and you really want to give us some support, go to patreon.com/slash no tucks allowed. Drop us a couple dollars. I still have yet to take a payment distribution from there, even though we've got some money on that account. But hey, you know what? With like our security oops for a couple weeks ago, we've spun up additional services to further harden ourselves against our own stupidity. So and of course that leads to a slight rise in our cost of infrastructure. It's still very affordable right now, but like I said, right now it's
Yeah.
only going to go up, especially with all the things that I talked about last week coming through. We're going to see that here at some point. It's just going to happen. Sorry. Just the cost of hosting, cost of everything is going to go up. I just don't see how it won't.
Yeah.
So uh, let's just accept it. And of course, just drop us a couple dollars because one of these days we're going to get off all this cloud bullshit. We're going to do this. We're going to do this the real way. I've got a server rack that still has 20 U worth of free space on it. We're just gonna rack up a couple servers in there and call it good, right, Big Pod?
Maybe.
And of course, by then, Big Pod's also going to have a server rack with 20 U worth of free space that he can rack up our server for like our European friends. And maybe if we continue to get like these random views from like Asia that pop in every now and then, well, we might have one out there somewhere too. But we gotta have somebody we really trust over there first. And of course, I think that's pretty much a wrap for the show. Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Hmm. Wow. I know I forgot stuff last week, but hey, you know what? That's because I didn't have a big pod to shout at me like as I was wrapping up the show, and then having to redo the ending all over again. So I think we're gonna see ourselves out.
Goodbye.